It's November 18th, 2024. I pushed the wrong button, but it's time to get in the weeds.
Just glitch out, Joel? What just happened?
I thought my mute button was on, and I pressed it off, but it was actually already off, and I pressed it on. So here we are. That's how we start our Monday mornings. I'm in another world today. I couldn't even tell you what's going on, but it's Monday morning. We're here for everyone. We're going to talk all about the weekend. We're not the recording artist. We're not going to talk about what happened over the weekend. We'll talk about the weekend. The guy who plays music, allegedly, Jeremy Lambert.
I call you when I'm drunk at night.
I mean, listen, when we get to WrestleMania season, I'm sure we'll be talking about the weekend again.
Yeah, that's true. It's like 6 times, 5 times, 5 times, 5 times, 5 times, 5 times.
And like in a row, no less.
Yeah, they love him.
Dude's ridiculous. Like it used to be Pitbull, and then all of a sudden they're like, "No, we need this weekend guy." They need to go back to Miami.
I mean, weekend does rule.
Yeah,
he's not bad.
But we'll talk about. We're not going to talk about the weekend. We'll talk about the weekend in wrestling, maybe. We'll talk about plenty of stuff that happened over the weekend. But Jeremy Lambert's here with his nerd gummy clusters. Who came through?
Oh, Ryan Sullivan.
Oh baby!
Oh, I got like it's behind the cars back there. It's behind the Fast and Furious cars.
In the garage.
There's 7 more bags on top of this. Ryan sent me 8 bags worth of nerd gummy clusters. This is the first one. I've about finished the first bag, but I got 7 more behind me.
That's insane. Good. God dang it, Ryan.
Yeah, 2.5 pounds worth of the gummy clusters.
Amazing. Allegedly, the 2.5 pounds worth. Oh my god.
I gotta limit myself because like I'll eat them all in like a day if I had my choice.
Yeah.
I gotta proportion you and ration you out here because if I left to my own devices would not be good.
It's amazing. By the way, it's amazing how much you are like my wife and how much I seem to be like yours. Yeah. Like there are so many times I'm like, yeah, I would have to limit, like we would have to do the limiting as well in my house. And I'd probably have to tell my wife like, hey, I'm going to hide these and we'll bring them out once in a while. And like, it's the impulse control. Not everyone has it. I don't know.
Like I have it when I want it. Sometimes
everyone has stuff when they want it, but then they don't.
Like I was very good last night about like not eating this entire bag here because I was like, nah, I gotta like not savor them, but like it's not good. I know it's not good to eat like a bag of these things a day, which is what I will do. So I'm trying to like limit to like maybe a half a bag a day, so that way they last a little bit longer. Like who knows if this will keep, Full Gears this weekend. I got to be up till like 3 a.m. assuming no one dies.
I feel like he might.
I don't wish. Go. Sorry about that. I cut you off.
I feel like Mox might try to do it to Orange Cassidy.
I don't wish death on any of the wrestlers, but if that's what it's going to take for another short press conference, then go ahead, Jon Moxley. Murder all you want to. So, assuming no one dies and we get like a normal AEW press conference, then yeah, I'm going to be up till 3 a.m. and I might need a lot of nerd gummy clusters for that. So I got to save them for that as well.
It's like when we did the Wrestle Kingdom stream years ago, and we did one on Scraps. I think when we were trying to monetize it, I found Diet Coke Extra. Have you ever heard of that?
What?
It was like
real Coke in it.
I should have. It was like extra caffeinated Diet Coke, and I had found a bottle that was on like clearance or something for 50 cents. And I was like, I'm gonna save this for when I need a really late night, and I did, and it wasn't very good. But same idea. If you got a late night, you're gonna be stuck with the late night snacks and late night sugars. Ooh. Just thinking about it made me itch a little bit. What else? You know what? Leave a thumbs up on the video. Let's just dive right into that. Go ahead, get the fireworks going, and celebrate another glorious week ahead for us. We got plenty to talk about. Full Gear is ahead on the horizon this Saturday night. There you go. The fireworks are out. You can, like I said, leave a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. FightfulOverbook.com. You can get all of your updates when it comes to our channel. And you can donate a super chat. Any amount, get your question or statement read on the air. Chi-Town's first kicks us off. I remember turning on Anthony Joshua versus Klitschko a few years back, being blown away, thinking boxing might be back. What happened? Well, money happened, and they discovered that freak fights continue to make money, especially fake freak fights. Did you watch Tyson and Jake Paul?
Oh, of course.
I did not. I was in bed at 10 p.m. Eastern.
So here's the thing. Not only did I watch it, here's like the reach of this thing. Like, people can say what they want, though. Like, people can say what they want about this fight and everything, that it's like nonsense, and it is. Like, for I don't say a purist, but for someone who appreciates the sweet science and has watched a lot of boxing growing up and likes watching the bigger fights in boxing, you can say what you want about this fight, but the kids come to me at like 8:00 on Friday, and they're like, "Jeremy, you're gonna watch the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was planning on it." And they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna watch it." Like, all my friends are excited to watch it. So I actually stayed up and watched this fight with some of the kids because they were excited to like watch this, and they're texting their friends of like, "Oh man, I can't believe like this is such a big deal," and everything. And then of course the fight ends. So they got a very hard lesson in like the pacing of boxing, because the kids are like, "Oh yeah, I heard it starts at like 8:00," and I'm like, no. The main card starts at 8. This actual fight ain't going down until like 11:30 or so. And then of course we get to 11:30 and they're still not in the ring. They still haven't made their walkout or anything like that. And then finally they make the walk, and then it comes, and then they do the fight, and it's 16 minutes of nothing happening. And then the kids are texting their friends, and they're like, "Yeah, everybody's like really disappointed and upset that nothing happened in this fight. They were so excited to watch it." And then that's what they got. I was like, yeah, back in my day, we would pay $70 for these pay-per-views. And then you would watch this fight. The one fight you cared about didn't happen until 11:30. And then you got nothing out of it. And the fight sucked, and you felt like you just wasted $70. Now it's just like, it's on Netflix. Like, it's just part of our monthly subscription. Like, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Let's throw on Love is Blind now. Like, they got a hard lesson in the boxing pacing. But my overall point is, like, my kids were like excited to watch this, and so many of their friends and stuff were excited to watch this. They ain't excited to watch, no offense to Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury and all these heavyweight fights that like I've watched over the past couple of years. They didn't care one bit about that. They didn't know who those people were. But on the day of Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, they're like, "Can we watch this fight? Are you going to watch this fight?" And they are texting their friends about this fight.
Yeah, they want to watch the YouTuber.
It's true though. Like,
I can't take away from the reality of it. Like, Netflix was hyping up the numbers, and they were saying they had over 60 million people watching it. Plus, there were, I'm sure, people watching illegally through various means. Jake Paul even called one out, whether or not that was a real number. The illegal
streams worked better than the legit ones. So
there's always going to be that one guy sitting front row with his IG live.
Look, man, I pay for Netflix. I've sent in my bill and everything. That stream won't working too well. Okay. You know what was working well? Meth. That was working fine.
Meth always works. Who am I kidding? Although you may try to fight someone in a parking lot after a deathmatch show, but that's all alleged anyway. So who cares? So yeah, I didn't watch the fight. I was asleep. I woke up. I saw some highlights, and I was like, yeah, this pretty much went as exactly as I expected. And some people were up in arms. Other people saw it for what this was, and that was just a freak fight. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. I don't really care what goes on next. Tyson has said, he came out and said that the June fight, like when he was originally supposed to be in June, he ended up having to postpone it because he was, quote, near death and had to have like 8 blood transfusions and lost 25 pounds of blood, like an enormous amount of blood loss. And not only that, being however sick he was with whatever he was sick with, definitely kept him away. That's wild for him to come back and do this.
That fight should have never been sanctioned, if we're being honest.
No,
It shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been sanctioned based on like age alone. Like a 30-year difference is absurd, absolutely absurd. But and then especially after his health issue, like even when they just said like, oh, it was like an ulcer flare ups, like that doesn't sound good. Apparently, this is bad enough to where you're outright canceling the fight in July, so it can't be that good. And then when he actually gave the details, like, yeah, this doesn't seem good at all. The fight should have never been sanctioned, but it was. They made millions. It did big numbers for Netflix. It did big attendance for AT&T Stadium. Hey, look, at the end, at least everybody got to see Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor in one of the best, certainly women's fights, but just fights ever. I hope they become bigger stars out of it. I hope they get more interest in them moving forward. And I hope they do a third fight that is on a big platform and does a huge number pay-per-view wise. So like, at least it accomplished that. This fight was always going to be what it was, you know, talking to the kids, and they're like, oh yeah, I hope Mike Tyson can knock him out and all this stuff. I was like, y'all are going to get a hard lesson that like what hype actually is. Because they're going to hype it's like Mike Tyson, baddest man. Look at all these highlights from 30 years ago where he's knocking all these people out. Oh, look at these training highlights. He looks really good. Like, yeah, there's that chance. He's got one shot left in him. Mike's got that one shot left in him. And I'm telling the kids, I was like, he's 58 years old. He's going to look every bit like a 58-year-old in this fight. There's not a whole lot to it. And that's what it was, man. He looked like a 58-year-old going up against a guy 30 years younger than him. I don't know if Jake took it easy on him or if Jake just didn't. I don't know what Jake's game plan was. I can actually kind of buy that he was like, let me not legitimately try to murder this man on live television, because it does seem like Jake, despite all the talk and everything, has some respect and stuff for Mike Tyson. Like, I think he realizes. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm giving Jake too much credit here. But it feels like he realizes this guy's a legend. This guy's done a whole lot for the sport. I wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for somebody like Mike Tyson. I certainly wouldn't be making $100 million for this fight if it wasn't for Mike Tyson and doing this fight. Yeah, I'm probably not going to be looked at all that great if I go out here and try to kill this 58-year-old. So let me just kind of cruise to an easy decision victory and go from there. Because it felt like he could have knocked him out if he really wanted to, because Tyson was offering nothing in that fight.
Yeah, but then he wouldn't have gotten all the money he was promised because he needed to go all 8 rounds. That's what this was. It's entertainment. It's entertainment. It's not sport. It's wrestling. It's not MMA. This is like we remember when we had the argument about the Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler match at SummerSlam from 2 years ago, and we were talking about like an MMA match can end any time, and is that really entertaining? And it's the same conversation, but with this boxing stuff that Jake Paul is doing. It's more wrestling than it is legitimate sports. You end up wanting to see this go as long as it can go for the story and the gravitas of who's going to win this deep into the fight. And to me, it's just like, he's just going to keep it going because it's just going to get more people talking about it. And that's that. It doesn't matter. It's an existence on a plane, and the fight happened. I didn't watch it. I didn't care to.
Fair. I mean, you didn't miss anything. I would encourage people to go back and watch the Serrano Katie Taylor fight if you really want to watch some good boxing. But yeah, the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight wasn't a whole lot of anything. Rosie Perez was on commentary. That was something.
Yeah, people noticed that immediately.
Yeah, Roy Jones Jr. was on commentary. People got introduced to Morrow on commentary, and for the wrestling fans like us, like we know all about Morrow, but people are like, boy, why is this guy got to make a pop culture reference every 2 seconds? Can he just
no one was watching Showtime for the last 4 years?
That's the thing. That's the weird thing is
he's been working.
Yeah, everyone. That's the reach of this fight, man. Like people who had not watched a single second of boxing decided to tune in to this fight. People who had never watched a second of MMA decided to tune in to this fight. Like, say what you will about it, and there's plenty to say about it. It is what it is, but you can't deny like the actual impact it had.
Yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, you know, you mentioned some of the undercard. I think the undercard understood that, and they went to work. And it was like Paul and Tyson, like they were going to do what they were going to do, but like the undercard were like, no, let's go show them that the fight still exists, that boxing still is a real, and that we can still, you know, compete at a level that's worth keeping your eye on. And people are praising some of the fights because of that. You know, you mentioned the women's fights. That was a good example of that.
Well, look, Jake even said that before the fight. He's like, you know, I know a lot of people are going to tune in for me and Mike and everything, but if we can help the undercard and get some names established on the undercard, then we've uplifted boxing. We provided a bigger service for boxing. I don't know how genuine Jake is with all of this stuff. Him and his brother don't seem like the greatest people in the world, but they've done something when it comes to gaining more attention in the world of boxing and putting a bigger spotlight on certain boxers and just boxing in general. And you can knock Jake all you want when it comes to the competition he's fought. He's fought nobody. The one time he actually fought someone halfway decent, he lost. Otherwise, he's fought a bunch of washed up MMA fighters, some of whom have terrible striking to begin with. And he's fought a basketball player. He hadn't fought anybody worth a damn. Anderson Silva was probably like the actual boxer he fought. And Anderson's, you know, one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time, arguably the greatest MMA striker of all time. But he was 45 or something. He was much older and was never in boxing or anything like that. But he's put some attention on some undercard fighters in boxing, and I hope they go on and they start selling some pay-per-views, and I hope they get bigger paydays out of this. Here's the thing when it comes to boxing. So, you know, there was a big boxing fight on Friday where these guys got millions of dollars. I don't know the payout for Serrano and Katie Taylor. I hope it was really good. But then you watch the UFC fight the following night, where the fights were better. Certainly the co-main event, Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler was a really good fight. And John Jones and Stipe Miocic was, it was good. It wasn't about as expected, but it was a good fight. And they got like a fourth of what Jake Paul and Mike Tyson got. Maybe probably even less than that. Maybe even a fourth of what Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano got. So boxing still, like, at least these guys and girls are getting paid good money to do these fights compared to the UFC, where they're doing big pay-per-view numbers and they're every bit the stars of some of these boxers are, and they get paid nothing compared to these big boxing fights. Nothing.
Yeah, there's always the stories about barely being able to pay off your training camp, being able to pay off your coaches, things like that. And at the end of the day, you just got the exposure and you're just going back home to whatever job you're working to hope for the next fight, where you maybe make, you know, an extra $5, being a little facetious, but you know, it's you need money, man. You need money to do this.
So reportedly, these numbers, it's not going to be official until it's put out there by something, but Taylor apparently got 6.1 million.
Wild.
And Serrano was higher than that. Compared to John Jones, Stipe Miocic, I don't know what their payouts were. It wasn't 6.1 million. I'll tell you that much. Like, it was not 6.1 million. So, you know, we will see. Okay, well, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong, because it does say estimated payout for John Jones was 6.2. I don't know if that's true or not. Well,
UFC and TKO had to pay for Secret Service, so you know, that's how they had to get through that. Let's move on. Kind of over, but this actually really popped me. Isn't his brother like shadow banned from Japan? The best Dom Mysterio reference you can ever make is that one. And the one that Becky Lynch made when she did her appearance at was it Vulture VultureCon.
Yeah,
Vulture
Fest. Yeah.
Did a little sit down, and when she was asked about returning to the ring, she said, "Well, you're not the last thing you're not going to see me do is have the door shut on my face by Dominic Mysterio," which is a great way for her to tease that she's going to come back. But it was good to see her. She looked great for that appearance, and certainly kept the eyes open for those who are expecting her back in presumably WWE very soon. Maybe as early as January 6th for that Netflix debut, which finally has an announced venue. We were talking about Intuit Dome for the longest time, and now it's official. LA gets the first Raw on Netflix, as this all ties together with the boxing fight we talked about, and whether or not it's going to be streamable, and whether or not it's going to be buffered, and who's going to be at this show. It's going to be a pretty big Raw on Netflix. Pretty big first venture for them. So much so that Paul Levesque had to come out and invite Travis Scott. Don't talk about it. He doesn't want to be out there. He doesn't want to be in the spotlight. Don't talk about Paul Levesque. But when he shows up at a concert and he's like, "Hey, come to our first Raw," you got to at least talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Your thoughts on the Becky Lynch VultureCon? It was a really Vulture Fest appearance. It was just the one soundbite that really came from it was the Dom Mysterio line.
Well, there's no real soundbite on it.
Oh, he's got what I got. He's got the cough out. It's all those nerd gummy clusters.
The quote is out there thanks to, I'm going to make sure I credit this person because I see the quote just floating around and no one can give credit anywhere. It came from Dave Don't Miss on Twitter. He's the one who was there. He posted photos that he was there and did the meet and greet with Becky. And he's the one who posted this quote. So let's make sure we give people credit around here. And we're not like every engagement account who just posts the quote and just like, it came from Vulture Fest, when there's no audio of this appearance. And I guarantee a lot of these people who are posting this quote were not there. So yeah, that's what she said. She also said, again, nobody wants to run this comment, but she also said, she said she's got a lot going on right now and is very happy with what she's currently doing. So I assume she'll be back at some point. Raw, Netflix, night 1 makes sense. January 6th makes a lot of sense that's where she would be back. They're running Los Angeles. They're running the Intuit Dome. It's not technically Los Angeles, Inglewood, maybe. They're running the Intuit Dome. I assume she'll be there. Maybe she won't. I assume she will. Good for her. I hope she gets paid.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll fill up that Intuit Dome regardless. There's a lot of like who shouldn't be on the show. How big will the show be? How long will it be? It feels like a show that's going to be loaded up, but you also want to be cognizant of overloading. You're going to be a little less than a month out from the Royal Rumble at that point. You're going to want to at least put something big together. But at the same time, if you put too much on, then you get everything else is saturated. So I'm curious as to what is like that Raw specifically, like what is going to be the most important stuff that you put out there. And then what else is just, on Raw. I'm sure big matches will happen, but like big returns, John Cena will almost certainly be on the show. You can expect Roman Reigns to be on the show. If you bring back Becky Lynch, those are three names right off the bat that I would just be, good enough. That's all you need to really pop the show. I don't know if you have any other like things that you think would happen on a show like this to get people excited, other than, Paul has to come out, but he doesn't like to be on TV, so we don't talk about it.
If they've got The Rock, The Rock's going to be there.
There you go. The Rock is another name, 100%. He comes out on the SmackDown that Friday. Oh, I missed my plane. What are we doing here on SmackDown? Jacob Fatu comes out and be like, "I love you, Rocky," and that's the whole sketch.
That show's going to open with Triple H.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic.
It's going to open with Triple H.
And who's he going to introduce? Is he going to introduce The Rock? Cody Rhodes?
No, he's not going to introduce anybody.
No, he could. He could be like, "Yeah, welcome everyone to Monday Night Raw. We're so excited for Netflix."
That's it.
Please welcome this man, John Cena. He's going to introduce John Cena.
No. He's not going to do any of this. He's going to come out. That's the first thing you're going to hear. It's going to be a cold open. The first thing you're going to hear is
lights out. The lights are off.
Time to play the game. And then he's going to come out and he's going to do, he's going to pose and do all this stuff. And the crowd's going to go crazy. It's, yay. And then he's going to go, WWE RAW Netflix. And he's going to go, are you ready? And I said, are you ready? Let's get ready to WWE RAW, because I don't know, I think they suck it on Netflix. I assume they can. And then they're gonna do the intro package, and then they'll do their show. That's it.
I think he should do the old Takeover opens, where he would be in the ring,
in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, and the lights are off, and he's just just there. He's just talking like, long ago, I brought streaming PLEs to WWE, but now I bring you Monday Night Raw, and it's like this big moment, and everyone's like, ah! And then they light up the arena and the pyro and the ballyhoo, and everyone's freaking out. There's a new set, and there's the big ring comes down from the top of the Intuit Dome, and it does, I don't know, it's a big live action game of Mario Kart. I don't know, but the point is, he will absolutely open the show, and I still think he's going to pitch to somebody, or someone's music's going to hit, it's going to interrupt, and he's going to be like, fine speech, and then Triple H will be gone.
Nah, I don't think he's going to introduce anybody. It's just going to be him coming out, and that being that.
Tenruza, this is on you. I'm putting this up because if it happens, I'm going to block you from this channel.
Nah,
just out of necessity. Meanwhile,
be Triple H.
It will be. Meanwhile, Tenruza sent a super chat saying, favorite pay-per-view theme, going back to our weekend talk, and our favorite WrestleMania theme. Tenruza wants Limp Bizkit back, get some decent rock back, and the wrestling themes, pay-per-view themes, and music that put us onto wrestling. Oh, I got to get you on this one. What your favorite pay-per-view theme?
Why? I don't have a good answer.
Oh, I thought
I don't know.
Have one. You've watched enough professionalized wrestling. I figured you'd have at least one that stands out. It doesn't have to be rock. It could be anything.
No, because you put way too much stock into me caring about the pay-per-view theme. I can't tell you what any of these pay-per-view themes are. I don't know. Did Limp Bizkit they used Crack Addict for something, right? Creep probably used the song.
You got it.
Creep by Smashing Pumpkins ever one of the songs?
Yeah, that was WrestleMania 48.
Why would you think that I would have a good answer for a favorite pay-per-view or favorite WrestleMania? I can't name you one.
You'd have one because you like music. You listen to music.
I listen to two artists, and I don't think either of them have done a pay-per-view theme. Eminem did Legacy for Bray Wyatt and John Cena at WrestleMania 30. That was a cool track. But
there you go. That counts.
That wasn't a pay-per-view theme or a Mania theme, though.
It was still used for a Mania build package. That counts.
Sure, but it wasn't a theme for the official theme of WrestleMania.
Put it on a disc. You could probably get away with it. I'm sure they could license the WrestleMania themes and have some of that stuff.
All right. Absolutely. But Taylor Swift hasn't used any WrestleMania themes or pay-per-view themes as far as I know.
No, have you ever tried to pay for Taylor Swift's track? Doesn't work that way.
Demi Lovato, Cool for the Summer. That was one. You know what my real answer is, Joel?
What's that?
When it's up, then it's up, then it's up, then it's up, and we nut, and we nut, and we up, and we up, in the butt, and it's up, and the nut, and the butt, and it's up, and it up, and it's up. That's my favorite theme.
There you go. SummerSlam 2021. That's the one.
I don't even remember. Was that SummerSlam 2021?
That was 2021. Sold Me by Seether was a good one. Little known one. Always by Saliva was one that I think about. Tearaway by Drowning Pool, because I used to like Drowning Pool. And Big Time by Peter Gabriel. Those are ones that I always think.
Big Time.
Yeah. WrestleMania 22, baby.
Okay.
Love me some Peter Gabriel. And also Tenruza said, hearing Mauro Ranallo promote WWE was weird. Will AEW make a play for him? As part Irish, having Katie win as the heel was awkward. TKO getting involved with the Netflix boxing. I don't know about the last parts. The Netflix boxing thing was MVP promotion. That was Jake Paul.
Yeah. So TKO has said Dana wants to get involved with boxing. Dana's made that very clear. But Dana's been saying this for 5 years.
They also kind of downplayed those comments. Dana has a lot of ideas he likes to implement, but we'll see.
Yeah. So I think if they can find an avenue with Dana as the promoter, then they'll do it. But I don't think there's anything like in the works right now. Because yeah, Dana does have a lot of ideas. Dana wants to do a lot of stuff, but they're not involved in like Power Slap though. Like Dana runs Power Slap, and Netflix or TKO doesn't have any part in Power Slap. So if they can make it work, if they feel it's feasible, sure, I'm sure they'll get into it. But Dana's got to have a better business presentation than just I'm gonna do this shit.
Yeah, I would like to. And they're like, how? And they're like, I'll figure it out. The Morrow stuff, I don't personally see him going to AEW. I think they have enough announcers on their announce team to get there. I think you'd sooner hear him in a place like MLW or TNA. But other than that, it's just, I don't even think he would go there. I don't think the places he'll wind up.
I don't think Morrow wants to do weekly wrestling television. I don't know Morrow. I have no idea. This is just the impression I get from listening to him. Also a great song. What?
Also a great song, The Impression That I Get by the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Never heard of any of that. Anyway, the impression I get, not a song, a turn of phrase, is that Morrow doesn't want to do any type of like weekly wrestling television. Like it feels like he's happy calling like select boxing, MMA fights, doing select wrestling dates. He did Maple Leaf Pro. He had a good time there, it seemed like. Doesn't feel like he wants to do like weekly going on the road wrestling television. I don't blame him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see him sticking around a wrestling product. I think he's doing well where he is. I think he's happy. If he does MLP again, that's up to him. But yeah, I don't see him going to a place like AEW. I just don't. Anyway, where was I? Where are my notes? What are we talking about? Should we talk about SmackDown or should we talk about the other little tidbits before we dig into the stories, such as I went to Northern Crown last night?
Sure. You want to talk about your experience at Northern Crown?
Cole Radrick called you a bitch. Wish I put it on video, but I don't.
Is it on video?
No, but I took a photo of us together, so there's that. I should get the photo. It's on my phone. If I just show
it on video, then I'm not gonna. I don't believe you. I don't believe that this happened.
Yeah, you're right. It's not. But there's a photo of Cole. Look at that, and it's completely. There you go. Yeah.
Your monitors and your camera.
There you go.
He looks disgusted to be hanging out with you. I don't blame him.
This one any better?
Yeah, he's really disgusted there.
Yeah, I can't blame him. Came in with Trevor Outlaw. That was fun. Let's refocus my camera.
I love Trevor.
Yeah, it was great to chat with him, and he was like, "How's Jeremy doing?" And that one was legitimate. He did actually ask how you were doing.
Trevor did, or Cole?
Yeah. He's like, "I know you because I know Jeremy," and I'm just like, "Oh, that's really cool," and I'm so sorry. So yeah, he's like, I like you guys. So it was nice. It was nice to catch up with Cole and with Trevor, and so the Macklin thing was really funny. So I go to Northern Crown. The venue was literally 10 minutes from my house. Like it was right down the road. They worked at Blood Brothers Brewery in Toronto. Really nice and different looking space. Not the first time they've worked there, but it's a cool little venue. And they packed it up. They got a lot of people in there. A lot of people were excited, not only for the WWE ID stuff, but also for the event itself, because they're putting on solid cards. And it's Toronto. When you get a good wrestling company with a lot of people you like, you're going to do well. So came to the show, pulled up, and yeah, it was fun. They opened up with the Macklin versus Alessandro Del Bruno match. Macklin comes out. He's a heel. He won the match. He shook Del Bruno's hand, and then he promptly texted me and said, I'm already off to the airport.
He got the hell out of Canada. I don't blame him.
He came in and got the hell out. I was like, you son of a bitch. Like, I didn't even get to say hello. He was just like, it is what it is. But anyway, didn't matter because Northern Crown were very, very gracious to have me in there to cover the show and hang out. And then Cole's match was second. He took on Aiden Prince, and they had such a good match. Aiden Prince goes to the top. There's this like balcony type stage thing, and he goes up to the top, kind of like Lucha Underground. Remember when they would like jump off the office into the ring? You remember when they did like spots
Yeah.
like that? Yeah. So they had a similar kind of top spot, and Aiden Prince did a dive off of that thing onto Cole, which was really, really solid. Yeah, they did a good job throughout the night. It was a fun show, and the main event was well, let's get there afterwards. Zoe Sager took on Bea Moss, and earlier in the evening before they started, I got a message from Spencer Love, and he was like, "Hey, do you know who's getting ID'd?" And I was like, "Are you subtly trying to tell me that one of your people are about to get WWE ID'd?" And he's like, "Oh, no, I don't know. And I'm like, you don't mean shit, Spencer Love. So Bea Moss took on Zoe Sager. And who is Zoe? Zoe is from Edmonton. She's a former Love Pro Wrestling Grand Champion. She'd been around for quite a while in the opening years of Love Pro. And I was like, this is the match before the intermission. Like I just kind of know like this is the fourth match, and I know they have an intermission, and I kind of feel like that's what's going on. And I'm like, oh, I think Zoe is getting ID'd because I know Bea Moss, and like she's not, she could be, but she's not in their eyes yet. She hasn't been doing like AEW appearances or other like televised appearances. So I was like, okay, maybe. And then they come out at the end of the match, and they gave her the envelope to Zoe Sager. She cut a little promo. It was half heel and half babyface, where she basically said like, I'm intangible and I'm the person, and And it was almost like a better than you promo, but everyone was like, yeah, go Canadian WWE signee. It was really funny, but yeah, good. Congratulations to her. It was a really neat moment to be there. Gabe Sapolsky was also at the show. He was the one dealing with Zoe essentially throughout the ID start. You didn't see him. I just happened to see him outside the venue. But yeah, from what I was told, he'd been around all day, hanging out the show, and was part of the ID process for Zoe. And then the main event, it was Gabriel Fuerza and Von Vertigo versus Josh Alexander. So it was a triple threat for the Northern Crown Championship. And Von Vertigo won. Josh Alexander, in the bigger news, got on the microphone and effectively said, this is me winding down my indie dates. I'm going to be done working on the indies. First, he said in Toronto and the GTA at the end of 2025. And then he kind of expanded his verbiage and then also said it on Twitter that he's going to be done working on the indies at the end of this year. His last date is early January at Prestige, I think it was. So he's going to be done. And did he mention that free agency is looming, but he didn't really say anything about where he's going. He just kind of said, I've been at the grind. I'm done with the grind. I talked about it with my family, and that's it. So I'm done with the indies at the end of this year. And thanks for everything, and keep Toronto and keep the Ontario indies, thriving. Very nice speech from him. Definitely felt like he had his plans in place, did Josh Alexander, but we don't know for sure what's going on with him. The show was still a lot of fun, really good stuff. They usually release bits and pieces on their socials. So again, thanks to Northern Crown. That was a really fun show. I look forward to going again. Obviously the WWE ID plus Cole plus Macklin all kind of forced me to go. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but it was more like all these things were like, I should probably go now. And I'm glad that I did. So again, big ups to Northern Crown. They're doing really good stuff in Toronto.
Sounds like you had a good time.
No, it was awful, and I just want to go home the whole time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Although you love this. That show was done by 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I was home by 8 o'clock.
Oh, I always enjoy a show that ends at a decent hour. So.
Yeah, they started at 5 and they went right to it, and I was like, let's go.
Oh, I do respect that. So. Yeah, the Josh Alexander news was kind of the big thing coming out, that and Zoe Sager getting ID'd. But Josh Alexander saying he's wrapping up indie dates. Obviously, people are going to speculate and think that it's going to be WWE. So we shall see.
It's easy to assume just because AEW is mostly cool with working indies, as long as you give them, as long as you inform them ahead of time to approve the dates. TNA has always been cool with it. MLW would be cool with it. WWE is the only place where they're just like, you are working with us. I think it would be silly for Josh to not go to WWE if given that opportunity. Who knows? He was done with the grind. That was really what it was. He was done with the hustle. He was done with, he said the hustle. But in his promo, he mentioned the grind. And I get it, because the dude, you got to understand, like, it's not working in the Canadian indies. And we had Shane Hawk on our show a year ago, maybe more, saying, you know, the US indies are easy mode compared to Canada. And there are multiple reasons for that. But one of the bigger reasons is Canada's more spaced out. Like, it's different getting the gig in Canada and having to do those longer drives and having to work for a lot less in some cases. And Josh definitely did that for a long time. And he was working construction for a long time. He made a huge deal about being able to quit construction when he got his TNA deal. So for him, this was like, it's a culmination and an investment in himself to continue working in wrestling, but knowing that he doesn't have to do that anymore and do the hustle of working the indies. So whatever he's doing next, it seems like he's setting himself up, or has been set up, for financial success, which you love to see.
Yeah.
Who got ID'd in Memphis? Asked Kim Gray.
From what I've read, I'll tell you in a second. I've not seen this on socials, but I have seen it like posted. I've not seen, again, like, Memphis hasn't posted this, and this person hasn't posted this, and I'm stalling for time as I get the actual name of who it is, because now I'm just not finding it.
Aaron
Roberts. Yes.
Yeah, Aaron Roberts.
Yeah.
Known as the Problem, Aaron Roberts. I don't know him. I haven't seen him, but saw a photo of him, and yeah, okay. Listen, these are all different wrestlers. They're all going to be different looking, from different backgrounds. They're all going to be independent talent, and some are going to find some modicum of success. Others are just going to get opportunities to try. So I'm looking forward to seeing where a lot of them land. They're getting paid to do this. I don't think that this is it sounds problematic, or whatever he says. I don't think that it's going to be, you know, the death of the indies, oh my God, as people have kind of said. We've talked about it quite often on the show, that it's just a bunch of people getting opportunities and hopefully being able to make the best of them. And the bigger question is, what does first right of refusal mean when it comes to the contract talk? That's going to be the first real test to understanding how much WWE has in this program, how much it can relate to the success of a talent.
Yeah.
Waiting for that big deal to come through. Eventually it will.
Tony's got to make the offer.
I keep joking about it, and I like the way that you said it, and it's like it's a no-win for him. You just, I don't know.
How's it a no-win? I feel like it's an easy win.
Because, well, you're talking about the offer. You're talking about like the real offer, not the joking 500,000 offer.
Right.
Yeah. You mean a real offer, a legitimate offer.
Yeah.
Okay. In my mind, I'm still thinking like he offers a stupid amount of money to somebody,
No,
but then you're just playing with the talent, and I don't like that.
Well, no, you're not screwing with the talent. If they're getting paid 500,000, it's good for the talent.
Yes, hypothetically, but the deal can easily be reneged if WWE's like, okay, go ahead. And then, you know, Tony's like, oh, I just wanted to see how badly they would, you know.
No, then Tony makes good and pays out the contract. I don't think Tony's just going to be like, oh, wait a second. Now I got to pay this. Never mind. Because that makes Tony look bad. So I don't think Tony's going to do that.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It felt weird that would be on the docket with a.
No, so I don't think he would do that. Well, I don't think the offer is going to be 500,000. I think the offer is going to be whatever it would be, and then you see how WWE responds to that.
Gotcha. Well, we'll see when that comes up. Van Twinblade sent a super chat saying this Sunday at Glory Pro, because of course it's Danhausen. Oh, we'll talk about him in a second. Versus Dak Draper, Ricky Starks versus Coco Lane, who has the A1 OG belt, and the new guys versus PMS for the tag belts. And Warhorse Jake Parnell takes on Suede. Who is Suede? Does he wear suede for the COG title? Is that the Crown of Glory? I don't know what it is. Anyway, Danhausen, let's talk about that real quick. Fightful Select reported Danhausen is still around, still under AEW contract. but he's not being used. He was supposed to be used, and now he's not being used. You wanna talk about this one real quick? Was
he supposed to be used?
There was talks of him being used. Hold on, let me pull it up. Oh boy, there was a lot. Set to return from injury a year ago, had plans change regarding his return, and then Danhausen expressed frustration directly to Tony Khan. This is from FightfulSelect.com, the best $5 in the business. There have been a few pitches made to bring Danhausen back earlier in the year, and Fightful was told that Bryan Danielson had made some of those pitches. Nothing emerged from those plans, but Danhausen had been willing to work for AEW, willing to return. Since publishing this article, we've heard that at least one member of AEW Creative spoke with Danhausen in September. So it feels like the feeling was he wanted to work, and for some reason he was not getting called back, or maybe offers. The creative wasn't happening, which is, in some ways, it's mind-boggling, especially when you get into October. And if you can use someone for a spooky season gimmick, for like they use for Abaddon, when they bring in Abaddon, it's for a match or two, and they come in, they have whether it's a world title match or just some sort of appearance.
It's always a title match.
It's almost always a title match. But the point is, like, Abaddon's used for those reasons, for the spooky reasons. You can do the same with Danhausen, and I don't know why that didn't come to fruition. Clearly, there were some attempts made, but we don't know what's going on with him. But he's still got time, and his contract runs until summer of 2025. Again, part of FightfulSelect.com in our reporting.
We'll see if Danhausen gets used. Danhausen hasn't been on television for the longest time. Danhausen has a role on television. I think there's no denying that. I also don't know, it's not a huge role, and it is not super like a memeable role or anything, but they're going to do what they're going to do with Danhausen. He's going to just be kind of a mid-card guy that serves his purpose, and that's going to be it. Maybe they want to put time and investment into somebody else, and if that's the case, then fine. You know what they should do with Danhausen, though? I should put him in House of Black. That's what I do.
I've pitched this before.
Have you?
I feel like I have.
Okay.
No, but the thing is, he doesn't wear the face paint. That's the only place where he doesn't wear it. Everyone else in House of Black does, except for Danhausen. It's like, I want to be different. It's the House of Blackhausen. It's the Hausen of Black.
There you go. It should be Danhausen, House of Black.
I'm surprised that, for real, that they just didn't have him do Ring of Honor stuff. At least something. I don't know what it... Again, I don't know what the expectation was, other than we brought him in and we got the pop, and then that was kind of it. He got injured. We understand that, but what was the plan with Danhausen? Was there a plan with Danhausen other than, pop-up appearances here and there? Was he made, there is this thing with, like, Tony doesn't love comedy wrestling. He doesn't like Toru Yano. Does he not like Danhausen? Because I think this is all speculation.
Does he not like Toru Yano?
He doesn't. He refuses to book Toru Yano because he doesn't like Toru Yano. He doesn't like comedy wrestling. I shit you not. There is reporting out there, and this isn't me. Like, again, this is all speculatory. I do wonder if this was like he's too haha, and it's not going to fit for whatever we're doing. It was one thing that's crossed my mind. He doesn't.
Toru Yano's going to save AEW. He's got to win over Jon Moxley.
He should be facing Jon Moxley. That's all I'm saying. But they're not doing it. And Orange Cassidy, I don't consider a comedy character. Someone in the chat was mentioning yet Orange Cassidy. And like, I think he sees that Orange Cassidy's character has a comedic side, but it's like not a funny haha side as much as it is like a funny but he still wrestles, without the laughy gimmick. You don't laugh. Orange Cassidy's a weird character sometimes, but now he's serious, so he loves him. He's always loved Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, we got a whole summer of kangaroo kick. Like,
Tony's easily persuaded. Let's not forget that. Chris Jericho says jump, and Tony says how many times.
Tony was part of those segments too, where he has to reprimand Adam Cole and MJF backstage. Like, I don't know how much Tony does or doesn't like comedy wrestling. Orange Cassidy is a different case because there's comedy elements to Orange Cassidy, but he can obviously go in the ring, and that's how he's presented to, like, the being lazy and all of that stuff. Even early stages Orange Cassidy, we're still having good matches. Now he does far less of the comedy. There's far less of the meme kicks and the hands in the pockets and all of that stuff. Now it's very serious. Orange Cassidy. He's wearing dark denim, if you didn't notice. It's very serious Orange Cassidy. Toru Yano's straight up like comedy wrestler. Danhausen can be like a little serious, but he's largely comedy style. If you don't like comedy wrestling, then like don't bring in Danhausen. Like, he signed him, he brought him in. Maybe that was, you know, the Bucks wanted him in or somebody else wanted him in, but like he brought him in and gave him pretty prominent roles. Like, he was featured pretty weekly with Best Friends and then with Hook and everything. He got over, he did stuff. I don't know where Tony falls on that kind of stuff. Like, there's plenty of comedy. Harley Cameron's not a comedy wrestler, but let's not pretend like Harley Cameron ain't like a comedy act with everything she does. Like, she's straight up comedy. It's great. She's fantastic at it. But you can be like a comedy act, but not be a comedy wrestler.
It's entirely possible that was the problem, was that he didn't like the comedy aspect of Danhausen's wrestling. You know, you get the teeth, you put them in the mouth, you kick the teeth go flying. It's funny, haha, because it's Danhausen. He likes teeth. Why does he like teeth? I don't know. Just laugh at it. This isn't me like burying Danhausen. It's just that's his presentation, and some people might get it, some people might not. Whereas the Harley Cameron thing is, we talked about, you know, she mimics whatever somebody's, you know, thing is, and she turns that into a character for the sake of the feud. Paints her face like Thunder Rosa. She does the boobs just like Mina Shirakawa, which apparently is what Mina Shirakawa is known for. I don't know. Next, she's going to be a dentist. That would be hilarious. Harley Cameron versus Dr. Britt Baker, and she was wearing the gloves and she's got the mask and she's doing the dentist. She shows up in like the sexy nurse's outfit and just pretends she's a dentist. There you go, Harley Cameron. But then she wrestles the match and she has a legitimate.
But she wrestles like comedy. She has comedy spots in her matches. She's over here motorboat and Mina Shirakawa.
Yes, during parts of the match, she's absolutely doing that. She's Daffy Duck. That's very funny. I don't know. Again, I'm just as confused as most people are when it comes to the Danhausen situation. I don't know what was it. Is it a mishmash of style or communication, a lack thereof? Is it an expectation that wasn't met and someone is holding that against someone else? Like, I don't know. And I don't think that's something that we are going to know until one side or both sides speak up. And right now, it is what it is. The dentist song from Little Shop before.
Like, Danhausen's been hurt for part of the run, so he was like sidelined every now and again. Maybe there isn't just full trust of, hey, we're going to put you on television and I don't know, you might get hurt. Again, you got to find a role for him. I always say this, like, all right, you want this person on television. Well, what are you cutting out if you get this person on television? Or what are you doing with him? It's very easy to just be like, yeah, put him on TV. Okay. Who are you taking off TV? Or where are you slotting him on your television role? There can be a role for Danhausen. I think House of Black would be hilarious, as personally speaking. I think it'd be funny. But if you're going to put him on TV, okay, what are you going to cut out of television there? Everyone goes with Jericho, but look, that just ain't happening.
You're not going to do that. The dude is just Jericho. Again, 5 years ago, he was the first AEW champion, and there was a good reason for that. He continues to be that rating star. Like, until Jericho says he's done, he's not done. You put Danhausen in the learning tree. That would be hilarious.
Honestly, that'd be great.
Which branch am I in the learning tree? You're the root. Shut up. That means I do good work, right? Yeah, sure, whatever. Just shut up. Okay. It's just, I don't know, man. Have him join the Acclaimed.
Oof.
I am the new Max Caster.
That sounds bad.
I mean, if it replaces Max Caster, I'll happily take that.
Y'all think that, like, this Max Caster stuff, like, it's not good, but also this is who we voted for, and like, it appeals to more than y'all think.
Roman Reigns finally got the. I don't know. I mean, do you want to talk about Collision while we're on this? The Acclaimed qualified for the full year 4-way tag. I thought it was going to be LFI. I thought LFI was going to be in. I thought the Outrunners were going to be in, and I thought FTR was going to be in, but they definitely have moved us to a different direction.
I thought it was going to be the Acclaimed because I thought they love. Here's why I thought it was going to be the Acclaimed, Joel.
Okay.
Because I don't think Private Party's losing at Full Gear.
Oh, I don't either.
Okay. So, but they got to have something happen in every single segment. Private Party just winning, they can't just let that sit. Something's got to happen. So the turn happens after the match. That's why I thought it was going to be the Acclaimed, because otherwise the match happens, Private Party wins, and you move on. And it's an AEW pay-per-view. You can't just move on. Something's got to there's got to be a return. There's got to be a turn. There's got to be a post-match beatdown. There's got to be something on these every single match. So this is the thing that happens after the match.
It's kind of why I wish they had not done that and instead had the Acclaim breakup happen next week, or just not. I don't know. I wanted LFI to be part of it because they had kind of teased it when they did the Private Party first entrance after they won the tag titles, and you've got Dralistico just being doing the belt sign, and Dralistico wasn't in the match, right? It was Mortos and Roosh. But I would have done. I don't know. I would have preferred they do it differently. I would prefer LFI had won the match, and they could have easily taken the pin. Like Dralistico could have lost that match in the 4-way. And again, the other side of it was you and I talked about Outrunners and FTR having their blow up after the match, after the 4-way. So there were multiple combustible elements that were at play.
I don't think they're splitting Outrunners and FTR yet, though. It feels like they're waiting a while on that.
Yeah, now it does, but I mean, eventually that is where the play is, because FTR are big old losers, and now they're finally coming to terms with that. I thought maybe if you have the match, the 4-way, and it's Outrunners, FTR, LFI, and Private Party, then you could have FTR eat the pin, and there'll be even more down in the dumps, and then they push and shove with the Outrunners. At least, again, they sow the seeds of tension because, again, FTR are big old losers, and they can't win a match. So let them lose again and kind of build to it. But instead, they're going to do that separately by the looks of it, and that is what it is. But LFI not being a part of this, I would have preferred it, but that's just me. Instead, like you said, the Acclaimed breakup or split, whatever the biggest or next beat's going to be, is probably coming after that match on Full Gear.
Yeah, Max Caster's rap was pretty bad. And then I guess it got cut, which, good. And that was that. And then they won after talking about deportation.
Sure, whatever. It was fucking stupid. Meanwhile, Mariah May and Anna Jay actually had a really fun match. I enjoyed their plunder match. I think I'm done with plunder matches every week for a little while. I would like to see that kind of go by the wayside. But, if there's one thing that always happens in AEW, and I think it's funny and also encouraging, is that when the women are given a hardcore match of any kind, they knock it out of the park. And this was a really good match. They delivered. Mariah May gets the win. Anna Jay cannot challenge again for the AEW Women's World Championship until Mariah May drops that belt. So it was fine. It was a really fun match. Mina Shirakawa comes out afterwards and celebrates with Mariah. The downside here is that they announced it's going to be the champagne celebration at Full Gear. They have time to change that if they wanted, but that is currently on the docket. Is Mariah and Mina, I was mixing up the names, doing a champagne celebration at Full Gear. But otherwise, what do you think of Anna Jay and Mariah May in their match?
It was good. I expected it to be good. They've had good matches against each other the entire time. Now, adding in the hardcore elements, that was good stuff. No, hopefully they got something for Anna Jay after this. That's what I always say when it comes to this stuff is you made her challenger of the month, and that's cool. But after she loses, what are you going to have her do? Is she just back to, is she Hikaru Shida, where now she just loses to the next challenger of the month? Or do you have something sustainable for her? Do you have an actual feud for her? Does she feud for the TBS title now? Because you lose one title match, let's go to another title. Like, we shall see. I think there's legs to Anna Jay like being a viable contender in the division, and we'll see if they actually go with that. Obviously, she can't challenge for as long as Mariah is the champion. I suspect we'll get Toni Storm back at Full Gear. That's what I think a lot of people are suspecting, and we shall see if that is the case or not.
I still think there's time until you see Toni Storm back. I think this is the beginning of the Mina and Mariah story, and someone else might come out and do something. One little thing that keeps happening is whenever Mina shows up with Mariah May, Mariah does something a little too aggressive, and Mina reacts like, whoa, what are you doing here? It happened after the match on Saturday, where you had Anna Jay take a couple extra kicks from Mariah after the match and after Mina had come out. And Mina was just like, oh, good, chill out. Like, you won. It's cool. I feel like we're going to get that on Full Gear, and it's not going to lead to the return of Toni Storm. I think that it's just going to lead to Mina and Mariah. If you see Toni next, it might be after I keep wanting to say Marina at this point. Mina and Mariah and the match that they're going to have. If it's at World's End, then I would wait until World's End to bring back Toni Storm. Maybe set up a match in Japan. Do a tag match. If I don't know who would tag with Mariah, but you could do Mina and Toni versus Mariah and someone from New Japan. Stardom, Stardom, one of those companies.
Yeah, maybe we won't get Toni at Full Gear. Maybe they wait until World's End, because if your end goal is Toni and Mariah at Grand Slam, that's not until mid-February. So you're talking late November, mid to late November, bringing her back. That's a pretty long build before you're actually getting to that match. And like, they can do it, but then what happens in the meantime between all of that? It seems like it's easier to just hold off on Toni returning, set up Mina and Mariah for the next month to headline or to be part of World's End, and then bring Toni back at World's End, because then you only got to do about a month and a half build from there.
This was one of the things you and I talked about when getting to the All-In match for Toni and Mariah. It was that when they brought back Toni, 2 weeks after they did a devastating angle, after Mariah won the Owen, and like 2 weeks later, Toni's back, and it was just beatdown segment after beatdown segment. Like, there was a while where the build was just too long, and it was like you could have held off on bringing Toni back by a week or 2 weeks and then ramped it up towards the finish for All In. But instead, they brought it back very quickly, too quickly, in my opinion. And that's what I'm hoping they don't do this time. I'm hoping that they wait on Toni, bring her back for New Year, and kick it off with the tag match at Dynasty, a Wrestling Dynasty. It'd be fun. It's something different to get us to the inevitable match in Australia, which, like, I don't know how many people saw that immediately after the All In match, but my feeling was like, right off Toni until February. Go on excursion, go do something. And I said that's a great rematch, and a big time rematch for Australia, is bringing Toni home.
Yeah.
What else was on the show? Oh, we got to talk about Danny Garcia and Jack.
Yeah.
They beat Johnny TV. That was expected. That's fine. Daniel Garcia beat Johnny TV. That's fine. It is what it is. It's what happens afterwards. I can no longer give Maxwell Jacob Friedman the only shit for crossing the frame rates, because they did it on Collision. They got too cute again. So okay, there's two ways that I have to see this. One, from a storyline and a storytelling standpoint, this was really good. From a production and a presentation standpoint, this was really bad. It was shot well, but they did the thing again, which I give AEW shit for all the time, where they cross the frame rates, where your show is being produced in 30 FPS, and then you did a cinematic 24 frame per second background, a pre-tape that you tried to portray as live. And you could, this time you really saw it, because it started with the beatdown to Daddy Magic by Jack Perry from the inside of the arena all the way to the outside. And then they cut to commercial. And then when they come back, you very much can tell. There's a point where it just cuts and you can tell that it's now the pre-tape. Everything had kind of just slowed down and got weird. And what's funny is that this time when I mentioned it, more people were like, I knew something felt off about the presentation. And it's because they went to that 24 frame per second presentation. Again, if AEW is happy with the way that the story was told, they should be. If they're happy with the way that it was presented, then they need an entirely different person running point on production, because you cannot let that shit go. You cannot be okay with having your frame rates get mixed. And that's a professional thing. Like, that is just, it's a TV professional thing. And now audience members are starting to figure it out and starting to get a little turned off by it, or at least just unnerved, not necessarily turned off. Just shoot it in 30. Shoot everything in 30 if you're doing this, and it's fine. And that's the thing. It does go hard. Like, I Make Pizza saying 24 frames per second goes hard when it's used well. And that's a good example, is the Moxley promo afterwards. The Moxley promo is a good example of like the two camera setup, and he's doing it in 24 frames, and it looks cinematic and it looks good because it's all outside. It's all outside. It's all one segment. That's it. Whatever they were doing with this Jack Perry and the Daniel Garcia stuff, it was just, again, poorly executed from a production standpoint, very well executed from a storyline standpoint. There you go. I know, like, you're smiling. You're like, what the, like, are you okay? The answer is no. I'm never really okay.
I love that you care so much.
I have to, because I this is, again, I keep going back to the, to, like, if you want to compare it to WWE does this, like the Georgia Dome, the Georgia Tech, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns standoff. That was done in a different frame rate and a different cinematic like style, but it wasn't presented to you as live and in the moment. Therefore, they could get away with this
cinema.
Honestly, like, listen, we make fun of the cinema bullshit now, but like that, but that's the way it was presented. It was presented more cinematically than most things. Go back and watch the match that the Sting and Darby versus Hobbs and
Ricky.
Was it Ricky? Yeah. Okay. We'll go watch that match. I'm pretty sure that was also frame 24, but that wasn't presented as a live. It was presented as, this is the next match. They didn't cross the frame rate based on like where they were in the building, but that's what they keep doing, is different locations suddenly have different frame rates and different presentations, even though the idea is that it's live. So if you start with one segment where Daddy Magic's getting beat up outside, and then they cut to, and it's in 30 frame per second, and it looks like the regular wrestling show you're watching, and then all of a sudden something weird happens and things get a little compressed and a little bit slower because Daniel Garcia came in and he goes to the front of the car or whatever, they're doing the tying up Jack Perry to the front of the bus. That's in 24 frames per second. It looks weird. It's a soap opera effect is a really good way of putting it, Jules. It just looked awkward. And you can't do that if you're trying to make a cohesive television production. They wouldn't do that to other companies.
Well, this is your problem here, Joel. It's not just you, but this is your problem. You just said it. You gave the answer yourself. You can't do this if you're trying to make a keyword cohesive television product.
I hate it here. You know how many times this is like the ongoing problem with a wrestling fan is, or like a smart wrestling fan, or someone who's in the bubble like we are, where you're like, I expect more from wrestling, or am I expecting too much from wrestling? And I think that both contents are true, because you want more from the thing you're a fan of and that you talk about, so that it raises the IQ of not only wrestlers and wrestling, but the presentation
What?
of it. I know, I get it. I'm
You want the IQ raised from 24 frames per second to 30 frames per second.
it's a 6 frame ask, but damn it, we can do it. I'm expecting way too much, they say. And that's the thing. It's like, listen, there are so many times where I'm just like, wrestling's stupid. Wrestling fans are stupid. Why can't we all be smarter? Why can't wrestling be smarter? And then, like, how many times do you and I sit here and we talk about a storyline and we're just like, man, there's only 7 ways to tell the same story and no one ever wants to try something new. And then when they try something new, people poo-poo on it, or it's just not very good. It's just, yeah. How many ways can the IQ of 50 tell the story? Once in a while, I just want a Kathy Kelly Mensa level story. That's all. Did you know she's smart? I hear she's Kathy Kelly.
Oh,
she's a Mensa member, apparently.
Is she?
Allegedly.
I like Kathy Kelly. Do you want to keep going about frames per second?
This show should be shot in 24 frames per second.
Again,
go back to my interviews. Go back to any interview that I've done that's not a TNA interview. They're all done in 23.937. Because it's cinematic. It's nice. It looks cool. Don't get me wrong. But you can't put together a show. You can't put together a live show and do that. You can't do it like that.
So I don't notice any of this frame rate stuff.
But that's because you're like eyes up and down. You're doing stuff. You're not watching the show as the same way. And like, it's not a knock at you, but like you've said it yourself, you're working.
So here's the thing. I actually did notice that like it was different for this particular segment. And I thought that was by design, but maybe it wasn't supposed to be. I don't think it was supposed to be, because it was supposed to be a live shot. You could tell it was very much not a live shot, which is fine. The whole show is taped. The whole show should have just been in 24 frames per second, since it was a fully taped show.
It would look awful, but at least it would be uniform.
So I did notice it was different. I'm not gonna lie. Be like, oh, I had no idea. Like, I noticed it was different. It just doesn't bother me to the level that it bothers Joel. You know what bothers me? Does Jack Perry have a humiliation fetish? Is that what is happening with him? That's the only thing I can surmise with what's going on here. He's like, yeah, chain me to this cage. Yeah, set me on fire. Yeah, chain me to this bus. And choke me a little. Get in my face. Like, is that... If it is, like, more power to him, you know? Yeah, man, I'm not judging.
Yeah, we don't kink shame on this show.
No. I'm not judging at all. That's what I'm getting out of this. This Jack Perry stuff just ain't clicking for me. If it leads to him joining up with Moxley, because I know people are going to point to, I don't care what anybody say, you're a good kid. Like, I know people point back to that, and like, hopefully that meant something and was not just John Moxley walking into the building, seeing him, and then moving on with his life. His friends are leaving him too. That's another humiliation potential fetish there. Like, whatever it is right now, just not working for me. I'm like, this dude he's kind of been bitched. Like, he just comes off like a bitch in so many of these segments that I can't take him serious. I'm like, yes, please, can we just... Can Daniel Garcia beat him and win the title? So this dude who just kind of gets punked out at every single turn does something different with his life. Like, I hope it pays off to something, and he realizes that, oh yeah, you know, he talks about like, oh, I needed to change, and that made me who I am today, because I did the crowd, they were dance for me too, but like, I was in the position you were in, and I needed to change. I realized none of that mattered. It's like, all right, so what did matter? You're just kind of a pushover now. Like, you don't really accomplish anything. Like, you're just there, and you're getting punked out, and that's it. That's all I'm getting out of Jack Perry, is he's just coming off like a little bitch. I'm like, come on, Jack. Like, we gotta get something out of this. Like, show some fire that your friends, not getting set on fire, but like that your friends left you. Show some fire that like they quit the match for you. He tried to punk out Matt Menard, and what happened? He ended up tied up to this bus. It's like, man, you just like, come on. I guess he's sacrificing himself. He's the scapegoat. Like, I guess that's the point. But it ain't working. It ain't working for me personally. The segments are good. The segments are good. He does well in being punked out. So credit to him. But I don't have an investment into the Jack Perry character of like, I want to see this guy do something. I don't want to see him wrestle. I don't want to see him get beat up and lose the title. He gets beat up every single week. He gets punked out every single week. I don't care that he's the champion. I don't want to see him lose the title. That means nothing to me. Like, man, I can't wait until Jack Perry finally loses that TNT title. Like, nah. If he loses, fine. Daniel Garcia getting his moment is something, but beating Jack Perry isn't like this big accomplishment to me. Jack Perry's barely defended the title. What he does, he beats kind of nobodies, and then he runs away after the match.
Or he does a count out victory.
Yeah. Like, beating Jack Perry isn't like any type of an accomplishment of like, yeah, Jack Perry, that's the guy you gotta beat to win that title. It's like, nah, dude, he punks out Jack Perry at every single turn. Like, if anything, Daniel Garcia should just 30-second victory. Don't try to tease me with a Jack Perry win. Just 30-second victory. That's it.
Jack Perry's really good at looking like a bitch. That's basically what he's good at, which is good for him. He should be. He should be happy to being just presented like a little bitch. TNT title should just be retired. Let's just end it now. Or give it to Daniel Garcia. Just give it to Danny Garcia. And then Jack Perry has this big fall from grace and joins BCC, the Death Riders. Hooray.
I hope that's where it leads to. I think it makes sense if that's where it leads to. Because if it doesn't, I don't know what they're doing. I don't get it.
There are days where I don't think they do either, but there are days where I don't think they do either, but we'll see where it plays out after Full Gear. Zeno R saying, if Sean is watching, please send Joel to an AEW media scrum so he can ask TK why their frame rate sucks. I guarantee you, first of all, if I went, TK would not answer my question with a sufficient answer. I would instead be given I thought that the show was framed beautifully. Everything was great. Everything was how it was supposed to be. Tonight it was really great to see Daniel Garcia defeat Jack Perry, win the TNT championship. Moxley is still running rampant here in AEW. We don't know what's going on with him, but he does all of his stuff beautifully. Everything's perfect. How about that match he had? He defeated Orange Cassidy and he retained his title. Wasn't that great? Wonderful match. That's what it's going to be.
Tony doesn't ask like a question of like, wasn't that great? Oh, your Tony impression's not great.
I don't care at this point. Like, we've all understood what this is now. Like, when we go to those media scrums, we now all understand what it is. You can ask the most pointed, most perfectly framed question, and you're just not going to get an answer.
You can frame your question in 30 frames per second, and Tony's answer will be in 12 frames per second.
Exactly. He'll run down the card, and that's it. Oh God! I'm sure someone's gonna ask about Danhausen. He's gonna be like, "I love Danhausen." Remember when
you're giving people too much credit.
I mean, on Thursday when they do a media call.
Maybe, but like, I don't even know if that's gonna happen, honestly.
That's fair. Is there anything else from Collision though? I guess we want to talk about November Rain.
Yeah, that ruled. That should have been the whole show.
All right. Have you ever seen the original ECW November to Remember November Rain? They did it for years, by the way. They did it in 95, 96, 97, 98. Like, they did it every year. It was an annual thing. Did you ever watch the originals?
No, probably not. Maybe.
You know what they didn't do during those video packages that ECW did?
talk over the entire song.
Talk over the lyrics to the song.
They should have just got the instrumental. That could have cost way less than like the whole song.
You can extend the audio, like you could just loop the verse, something, for Christ's sake. This is such a little thing. Everyone's like, oh, that was so amazing. I'm like, no, it wasn't. It was talking over Axl. I was talking over the singer. Like, I don't even give a shit about Guns N' Roses. I'm like, if you did that with, I don't know, if you did that with a Taylor Swift song, it would be just as egregious. If you did that, I don't care what it was. You never, ever, ever cross over the lyrics. You just, again, production, and everyone's like, this was so great. I'm like, this fucking sucks.
Joel hated the November Rain video.
They could just, the original one, the ECW ones, didn't have any talk. It was all just, it was, you know what they were doing? They were using the original video, and they were splicing in ECW content throughout, and then they'd have bits and pieces from the actual Guns N' Roses video as if they were doing a partnership, when in reality it was just, they didn't give a shit. They just didn't
shit.
It's fine, but it made them big stars over, you know, the November period in ECW. It just you don't need to do the all 8 minutes of the song. You can chop it up in a certain way that makes the song still work, or you can not have everything have a piece of commentary over it. Like, you can tell the story with the video. There are so many video content creators online, like on our socials, that are producing these amazing music video style productions, and they're not using any of the lyrics, or they're not using any commentary. They're just using the song, and it's like, you can make it work. You just need to not have, again, it's a nitpick, but it's such an easy thing to not do, and that's having Excalibur or Tony or Nigel speaking over Axl Rose singing the damn song. It's a really easy thing.
Henry's got it. You know who should be putting these videos together? Blake Christian, baby.
That was amazing. It's good stuff.
That, the video, the Jack Harlow video. Oh man, I'm glad he confirmed that, like, he was the one who did it, because that video was stuff of a legend. So memeable with everything. It absolutely rules. My lovely wife is bringing me tea because my throat is disasterful. Thank you. Oh,
bless that woman.
Absolutely, she's legend. But Blake Christian, also legend. Vanilla, baby. Choky, but I ain't no killer, baby. I don't lie on whips and chains, but you can't tie me down. Whip your lovin' on me. Whip your lovin' on me. Banger song.
I had to go back and watch this again.
It's so, I watch it every time it comes across my feed. I don't care. I'll watch it every single time. Blake Christian reacted, because I did an article on it yesterday. I was like, Blake Christian confirms that he did it, and he just reacted like, what the fuck? Like, it's such a good edit too. Like, it's so good. He should be doing the video.
He should be doing the video. That's right. None of this talking over people shit. Taz would sing it. That would have been hilarious. Just put Taz live, just being, oh, I can't even do a Taz voice singing Axl Rose, but it would be perfect. Or just, you know what? If they ran it by Taz would have been like, I don't think we had any talking over the original video, guys. And they would have been like, yeah, well, now we do.
Why Taz? That was like dork Taz.
I think like about Taz. I think about like Taz when he was doing his radio show. That's how I think about Taz.
Okay.
You know, I know you used to listen to it back in the day.
Taz I did. It was good. It wasn't bad.
CBS Radio and Play.it, where you can also find Conrad Thompson talking to his father-in-law for the first time.
So I noticed that too about the video. I thought it was good. Like, I popped that, like, that closed the show. I'm like, hell yeah. This wrestling show.
I kind of have my feelings about that too, because it's like, you couldn't let the world women's title match be the main event. Like, you just couldn't do that. I felt a little strange. I want to get to your point, but like, when I saw Tony like pointing out at the like, we're gonna debut this big da 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 da. I'm just like, it's fine. It's just, I wouldn't have put it at the end. I would have done it either in the crossover or at the opening. Like I just wouldn't have put it at the end. I get why they did, but it just felt like you were doing a disservice to your main event, to your women's main event it was a hardcore match for the title, and they just kind of, I don't know, it made it feel less important, which I don't like. But that's me. So give me your thoughts on the rest of the stuff.
I love that it was at the end because it was hilarious to me. I hope Rampage is nothing but this video. I don't need these throwaway matches where you know who's gonna win. Oh, here's Ricochet against AR Fox. Geez, wonder who's gonna win. I feel like they've already wrestled, so sorry for booking a rematch. Wonder who's gonna win this match ahead of Full Gear. Oh, here's Konosuke Takeshita against Dante Martin. G Gallagher's guy. Wonder who's gonna win this match before Full Gear. Who cares? Just play the November Rain video. Get your money's worth out of it. Play that for the entire episode of Rampage. So I thought it was fantastic that it closed at the end. Where the best do an 8-minute video package. Here's what I had the same like thought you had though, Joel, of like this video plays and like it was cool, like opening with Moxley and like it was, you know, they talk and they set everything up. It's like, oh man, it's really good. And then like Axel starts singing and like they just keep talking over. I was like, why did you get the rights to this song if you're just gonna talk over it the entire time? Like, what was the purpose of that? Let people hear the song. You got the song for a reason. This is obviously a very important song that you probably paid a lot of money for to play and put this video package together. There are breaks between the lyrics where if you want to insert some commentary and insert some promo B-roll that you've acquired over the past few recent weeks, you can put that in there. Why are you going over top of the song here? Oh, it just I was very baffled by that. But that was the choice that they made, so whatever. That was great.
Karaoke version from YouTube. But it's like
that's what I'm saying. They could have used just like the instrumental version. Like, why get the lyrical version and not let everybody listen to the lyrics?
And again, like this is something that I'll use WWE as an example. Like when they put together these promos, if they have more talk than like they extend pieces of a song in their video packages to get there, so that when they bring the lyrics back in to put over the action, like it doesn't trample, they don't trample over each other. Because that's production 101. You don't crosstalk like that. Jeremy and I do our best to not crosstalk when we're giving our thoughts and opinions, because if you ever listen to us crosstalk, you don't hear shit and you don't understand anything. And that's kind of what happened here, was just you get a little lost in the shuffle with that.
Could you imagine if the My Way video, like, there wasn't too much like talking over that. They had the talking segments. I need to beat you, Rock. I need to beat you. But like they let that song be that song. You know, there was not, let's do a Steve Austin promo over My Way. Like, let the song play. You paid all that money for that song for a reason. Let's listen to it.
Yep, absolutely. It would have been so much easier just to have the song playing and let the action coincide with the lyrics. You don't need the announcers talking over everything in every part. It's just that was my one biggest issue with everything. It was such a layup, and they missed, at least to me. I know a lot of people really enjoyed it, and that's great. If you enjoyed it, all the power to you. But for me, who, you know, I said this before, like comes from a background in this stuff, I'm like, you could have done it better. And then obviously you hear it too, Jeremy.
Yeah, I was very, I guess, surprised that that's the choice that they made, and it was very noticeable. Again, you're the production person who really notices these production things, but like it was very noticeable that they were talking over that song the entire time. I'm just like, what? It felt like, you know what it felt like? It felt like they had a point to prove with the We Don't Do Stories crowd. And they were going to prove it in this 8-minute video package. Yeah. So there you go. Redmond Survivor making the same point. Is like it felt like oh, you say we don't tell stories. We're gonna prove we tell big time stories, and we're gonna hammer it home here. Look at all of these promos we've done over the past weeks and years. Look at all of these stories we've been telling over the weeks and years. And all this footage that we have to show we do stories. But you still could have proved that point without all of the talking in there. You still could have just spliced in the talking every now and again, but also let people listen to the song.
Last thing before we move on, what did you think about the announcement that Big Boom AJ is going to be on Dynamite?
Hell yeah.
I'm of two minds again.
Why?
Because we sat here for weeks saying this is good that they've been playing it up primarily on social media and outside of AEW canon. My hope was don't bring it on TV, leave it entirely for online, and then that's it. They're going to have him on TV. He takes up TV time. That's really my one concern is like, how long is the segment? I don't expect it to be 20 minutes or anything nearly that. So to me,
I hope it's 20 minutes.
You hope it's
I hope he responds. QT is about to drop a diss track at noon.
So maybe after that, that's what Big Boom drops. AJ drops a diss track of his own on Dynamite. Again, like I'm reserving judgment for now. It's just when I heard it, I was like, I said this would be better without the crossover, but I could be very well wrong. And by Wednesday, we'll be like, all right, that was perfect. I'm glad they did it. So it's fine.
No, it's gonna rule. It's gonna absolutely rule. You're pre-hating.
I didn't say I would hate. I didn't say I
don't
hated.
pre-hate the story.
Stop it. I didn't pre-hate anything.
You're pre-hating on
He's
it.
He's gonna promote Costco's Black Friday deals.
I hope he does.
I hope he does.
I hope so.
They're gonna replay the GNR video, but it's with the Costco guys. So.
Oh, that would rule.
Hopefully, with no lyrics in there.
That would rule. I'm excited for this. I've become such a fan of this guy.
Look,
over the past 2 months. Legitimately had no idea who he was 2 months ago. Now I'm all in. He's got to get 0 Hour correctly. His last promo, he kept calling it Ground Zero, and that's not what it's called.
That's the 1997 WWF pay-per-view.
Yeah, exactly. It's 0 Hour. He's got to get that correct. Otherwise, his promos have been on point. He's doing good of naming the day, naming the event, calling out QT and all this stuff. Like his promos have been good, but he kept calling it Ground Zero in the last promo. It's like, man, gotta get this one correct. Oh, I'm excited. It should be the whole show. It should start the show.
Put him on commentary.
Oh.
He should be the third. They don't have Taz, so they just got Big Boom AJ. You want to? We got you one. We went from one guy with an obnoxious accent to another. Here you go. That's all it is. They're like every week when they don't have Taz, they just replace it with a guy who has an obnoxious accent. Hear me out. Nigel McGuinness, British. Daddy Magic, French. Who was the other guy they did? Oh my God, I just had him and I lost him. It's gonna kill me. Jeff Jarrett. And you know that's every week. It's just someone with an obnoxious voice. Costco AJ.
Swerve posted a photo of his shoulder, and I assume it is not healthy.
Oh dear.
If you go to Swerve's timeline, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to pretend like I understand like how this bone is broken, but it looks like it's something's cracked. Maybe
it's clavicle.
I don't know. That's a word I don't understand, Joel.
Fair.
Do you see it?
Yeah, no, I do. I'm looking at replies in case anyone says. I think he still might work the match regardless, though.
Yeah, he hasn't said anything. You know, he hasn't said that like he's off of Full Gear, but he just posted this X-ray, and
yes, the anonymous general manager saying we should get a healthy one to side by side, just so we can see it. We don't know what this means. We just know that he's posting this X-ray of his shoulder. We'll see what it means as we get closer to the show. Maybe on Wednesday they'll have some sort of explanation or update. I would like that. It's French-ish. Daddy Magic's accent.
Is it?
It's obnoxious, is what it is.
Wow.
But prove me wrong, kids. Prove me wrong.
Hater.
Yeah, well, if I don't, who will? Like 1,000 other grifters out there who would. Who am I kidding?
Yeah.
What do I know? I don't hate like they hate. They have generational hate in their veins. Let's talk about SmackDown. Paul Heyman ain't paying his phone bills. Wait, hold on. Before we get to that, Speedpunk did send a super chat that I just noticed. CGCW this weekend, Sawyer Wreck had her final match after she won the NGI 9. She got attacked by Mask Guy. Mask takes off, and it's Atticus Kogar. He's back. Atticus Kogar has jumped back to GCW, or at least made his return. And yeah, Sawyer Wreck had been promoting that this was her last wrestling date, was the NGI 9. She won it, which was nice to see. Good way to go out. But yeah, as one person walks off into the sunset, another person comes back in the sunrise. What do you think of this? I didn't see a lot of the NGI stuff, but obviously listen to the Weekender podcast with Steven Jensen on FightfulSelect.com.
The Nick Gage Invitational is not for me. I respect everybody who does it and everything they go through. Watching 2 hours of death matches is not my cup of tea. I did see highlights. I did see Sawyer Wreck's victory. Good on her. That this is how she's going out. I hope whatever she does next, she's happy and fulfilled with all of that. And then Atticus Kogar coming back was a pretty shocking return. They had GCW and Atticus had a pretty big public falling out with everything. So I'm glad that it seems like fences were able to be mended to some extent there to lead to this return. And we'll see where it goes with the storytelling. Atticus, the stories they told with the oh god, now I'm blanking on the name of the promotion. It's here in Ohio that they always run. I'll look it up because I can't think of the friggin' name of the promotion. It's not Circle Six. That's what it's called. The stories that they tell in like Circle Six are fairly good, but they don't get a lot of traction. They just don't. GCW is the biggest independent out there. You'll actually get some traction with what you want to tell at Circle or at GCW. So we'll see. And they got a pretty big story to tell with him returning with everything. So we'll see when it comes to Atticus. And again, best wishes to Sawyer Wreck and everything she wants to do after now retiring.
She won't have to listen to Steven Jensen bury her finish every week on the Weekender. you can use that one on Thursday for free. What was it? She did the choke slam or the
choke slam, yeah.
I
thought there was big potential in Sawyer Wreck. Like I think she could have been.
I loved her work.
Yeah, I think she could have been like, somebody in AEW or WWE, and she's still relatively young. I feel like.
Yeah, she is, but who knows? It's up to her if she wants to come back or if she has plans to pursue a life in wrestling. By all accounts, it seems like she's just like, I'm done dealing with the bullshit, which fair. I get it. It's wrestling. There's a lot of it. And maybe she just wants to move on and, do something else with her life. And if that's the case, great. I hope you see a lot of success. So good stuff. Let's talk about WWE SmackDown. Let's talk about Paul Heyman not paying his phone bills. Someone mentioned in the chat that Jacob Fatu smashed Paul's phone. The wonderful thing about the eSIM is that they're available to any phone once you program it. Paul Heyman instead isn't paying his bills. Or he blocked Roman's number. What do you think of this ending to SmackDown?
You know what pisses me off about this November rain?
We're back, baby.
Hold on. I want to pull this up. Sorry, everybody.
I'm so curious about this now. We're back to November rain. This is the second time I've tried to set up Paul Heyman not paying his phone bill. And just like him trying to pay a phone bill, we're going to divert. What are we doing here?
All right. I'm uploading this graphic here. Okay.
Right. Is this is the promotional November?
Yeah, it's the promotional graphic. All right. Take a look at this. Everybody sees it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you notice about this graphic?
Guns N' Roses, AEW, November Rain, music video debut.
Look at the wrestlers.
Okay. I see Max and Will Ospreay and Hangman, and
this is my nitpick. This is my Joel Pearl 24 frames per second.
Well, who's not? Well, they mostly focused on Moxley and Orange and Ospreay and Fletcher. Okay. I want to hear your nitpick. I'm curious.
The left side of the graphic, John Moxley, Hangman Page, MJF, Mercedes, Bobby Lashley, all portrayed as the bad people. The right side of the graphic, Orange Cassidy, Jay White, Roderick Strong, Swerve Strickland, Chris Statlander, all portrayed as the good people. But then you have Kyle Fletcher on the right side and Will Ospreay on the left side. Would it have been that hard to flip them so you have all the good people on the right side and all the bad people on the left side? Because it's very clear that's what they are going for based on how this graphic is arranged. But for some reason, Kyle Fletcher is on the good side when Will Ospreay is on the bad side.
Okay, I can explain.
The nitpick, I get it.
No,
I can jumped out to me.
I can explain this. You see, Kyle Fletcher is Australian, so everything he does is backwards. Will Ospreay is well, how can I put this kindly? He's mentioned it very many times. He is neurodivergent, so he got confused on his way to the photo for this, and he found himself on the opposite end because he was really attracted to the shiny thing in Mercedes's hand. So now he's just looking at it in the photo. So that's the explanation. It's backwards for Fletcher because he's Australian, and Bruv just got attracted to shiny things. It's the only shiny thing in the video or in the picture. So he went the wrong way.
I don't like it.
That's fair.
All right, what are we talking about?
Let's talk about Paul Heyman. He's not around. Paul Heyman's gone. He doesn't pay his cell phone bill. He's either that or he's blocked Roman Reigns' phone number. Where is he? Where is Paul Heyman? What have they done with him? Did he get kidnapped by the bloodline? What are we doing? Where's Paul Heyman? Is he okay? Should we send a search party? Should we put his face on milk cartons? Where is he?
I don't know.
He's got to bring the team together. He is the cheerleader. He is the bloodline cheerleader.
Why do you keep calling him the cheerleader? He's the wise man.
No, he's the cheerleader. He's going to be the guy that brings back these motley crew people to get them. Because, think about it. You got that bad bloodline with Solo and his team, and now Bronson Reed's part of that team.
Now we got bad bloodline.
That's right.
You know, it used to be OG bloodline.
Bloodline. Anyway, sing the song later. The idea being that the bad bloodline are friendly. They're good. They like each other. Everyone's happy. The other bloodline is like this motley crew of people who don't like Roman, but are getting together for like the common goal of what? And then whoever joins fifth, at this point, we can assume it's going to be Seth Rollins because of his history with Bronson Reed. We'll find out tonight officially, I assume. But Seth Rollins doesn't like anybody there. He doesn't like Roman Reigns. Jey Uso doesn't like Roman Reigns. Sami Zayn doesn't like Roman Reigns. Jimmy is a bitch. He just has to fall in line. Paul Heyman is the guy who's going to come in, and just like in ECW, he's going to tell everyone what they need to hear to make them all work together. And that's what's going to be the moment that brings back Paul Heyman. But Paul is still nowhere to be found. So now they got to go send out a search party and put his face on various meats and cheeses.
So as people have pointed out, two things. One, Solo destroyed Paul Heyman's phone in the segment where they nuked Jimmy. So Paul Heyman's phone got destroyed. Maybe because he's not getting paid by the bloodline.
I already talked about this. An eSIM is easy to replace with your new phone. It's not hard.
But he didn't have a job. He got kicked out of the bloodline, so he can't pay his bill. You know? The other point people pointed out was Sammy tossed his phone on the couch before he was going to go. They did the big fight. Did Roman accidentally pick up Sammy's phone? You think he would have noticed like the different background on there? But maybe not. Maybe not.
This isn't my wife and kid. I have more kids than this, right? Hey, wise man. Oh, shit. Jimmy, I got more kids than this, right? You bet, Oos.
So maybe he didn't realize that he had the wrong phone in his hand.
I don't think so, Tim. I'm very curious as to who's going to make first contact.
Yes, sir. He could have just like got the wrong number. Do you think like Heyman's watching the show, and so like Heyman reaches out to Roman? Now we get a segment on Raw where Jay and Roman and Jimmy and Sammy are backstage, and Roman's like, "Oh, I talked to Heyman on the weekend. He called me after he saw that I tried to call him on Friday, and his number was disconnected. He apologized. He said that it just happened to be during peak service hours, and so something happened with his phone, and it's all good. We smoothed it over, but it's all fine. He'll be here on Friday. That's it. That's the explanation for it all."
I was in a tunnel. I was getting ready to take a flight, and they tell you to turn off your phone. So that's what happened. My phone was off and my mailbox was full. I'm so sorry, my tribal chief.
This is one of those where you gotta like suspend the disbelief of nothing else happens outside of your wrestling show. Like life just doesn't exist outside of your wrestling show, because otherwise, why wouldn't Paul Heyman be reaching out over the weekend and being like, "Hey, yeah, I saw the show on Friday. Sorry about that. Sorry I missed your call. Like, I had a new phone, got a new number, tried to reach you. Couldn't, we hadn't really talked much in the past couple of weeks, but we're good now. It's fine." So, anyway, Heyman will come back at some point. I think the bigger kind of story right now is Bronson Reed joining up with the Bloodline. I thought that was a really well done segment. I still have my gripes of, okay, is this needed? Do you need the fifth guy? No. But Bronson makes some sense and looked really well with them. And now I guess we're going to get Seth as the fifth guy on, I guess, tonight, because Bronson's facing Seth. So maybe Seth will be announced as the fifth guy. I assume we'll get like bloodline interference and everything. Seth can't be quick to just accept this little, "Oh yeah, guy, like I hate Bronson that much that, yeah." Like if I'm Seth, like I get it, you don't like Bronson, but he's made it very clear he doesn't want to team with Roman. He doesn't care about the bloodline. You're like, give a fuck if you guys are 5-on-4. Sucks for you. Deal with it. Sorry. Look what you've been doing the numbers game your entire run. That's why I didn't win the title. That's why Kevin didn't win the title. That's why Sammy didn't win the title. That's why Drew didn't win the title. It wasn't until the numbers finally caught up to a Mania that Cody won the title. Now you've laid this bed. Now you're down 5-on-4. Sorry. What comes around goes around. I'm teaming with you, dicks. He just leaves.
On the other hand, Rollins and Reed have a match tonight on Monday Night Raw. Raw is taped. We know. If you found the spoilers, you found it. But
I've not looked at them.
That's fine. Let's say you didn't. You can assume that at this point, if Bronson Reed has now aligned himself with the Bad Bloodline, and while Seth Rollins has not, I think it's pretty safe to assume that the Bad Bloodline are going to be around the Bronson Reed side of that match, and that might force Seth Rollins' hand to joining Roman and his crew. Because again, a lot of the Roman side is the enemy of my enemy is also my friend, or it's going to be one time only, but I really hate your guts. And that's why you got to bring Paul Heyman back to rally the troops and tell them you just once, you got to get together, and you got to be, you got to work cohesively. I don't love it. And this was the other thing about, what you said with the stories kind of merging. And do you need the fifth man? The answer was still no. But if you're going to have the fifth man, it has to be using a story that gets elevated by it. Because what do we say about, like, you know, when the Bloodline was looking for a fifth man, we made the joke. It's like everyone should say no because they're all assholes and they're just like, they don't want to be part of this thing. We don't want to be part of this. No, thank you. LA Knight did the thing I told him to do. He was like, you want to join our team? Yeah, really? No. And then he just walked away. That's what happened. It's good. But with Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins, they are embroiled in a story that's been hot, and it gets elevated with Bloodline because while everyone shouldn't be with the Bloodline, everyone should want to be in the Bloodline story because it gets first rights, it gets first viewing. It is the top-notch story in WWE right now, so it makes sense to at least have the biggest possible story, you know, team up with the next one in line, and that is Seth and Bronson Reed. So it makes sense from that point of view. But I'd still prefer 4-on-4 if given the opportunity to go back and do it that way.
I think Seth and Roman should both be like, I'm not teaming with this dude. I don't want anything to do with this guy. Because Roman's got a gripe about this too. Seth is the one who turned on him years ago in the Shield and broke up that group. Seth is the one who beat him at WrestleMania, cashed in to win the title during Roman's match against Brock Lesnar. Seth is the one who came out in the Shield gear at Mania 40 and cost Roman the title there. Roman shouldn't be so quick to be like, oh yeah, we need a fifth. Okay, fine. We just need a fifth. So Seth, you're the fifth. Fine. Roman should be like, no. I'd rather go 5-on-4 than team with this dude. I don't want this guy. We can't trust this guy. I don't want this guy on our team. Absolutely not. And Seth should feel the same way. He should be like, no. You guys have had a habit of beating people, of using the numbers against people. Now you're deal with this. You're down 5-on-4. Sorry about you. Yeah, I hate Bronson Reed. I'll deal with him on my own terms. I don't need to get involved in your dumb mess. You go beat the shit out of each other. Peace out. I'll go cackle.
Go bring in Kurt Angle.
I'll go mourn the Bears losing again.
That's a weekly occurrence for him, so it doesn't matter.
It is.
He's already perpetually sad.
That poor guy, man. That poor guy with the Bears. They lost on a Hail Mary 2 weeks ago. A Hail friggin' Mary. And then they lost on a blocked field goal yesterday. They hadn't beat the Packers since 2018. They had their chance yesterday. Lost on a blocked field goal. That dude's been through it. You know what? He should just be so fucking depressed. He should just be sitting backstage. I'm like, Seth, come on. We need you. We need you for Bloodline. We need you for Wargames. We need you to face Bronson. And Seth is just like, you guys think Wargames is misery? You guys think Roman Reigns, Bronson Reed, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, you guys think all these guys can make your life miserable? You guys think that's what real war, real grief, real pain is all about? No. I've watched the Chicago Bears for almost 40 years. I've watched the Chicago Bears for the last 3 weeks. I have seen a Hail Mary play completed, a once-in-a-lifetime event happened against my team from a rookie quarterback, a blocked field goal. We had a team that we've not beaten since 2018. We had our chances, blocked field goal, new coach, new receivers, new quarterback, new hope. There's always something. That's real misery, being a fucking Bears fan. So you know what? I'm done. I don't give a fuck about wrestling. I don't care about your bloodline. I don't care about Roman Reigns. I don't care about Bronson Reed. I'm out. Don't call me again until the summer, because that's how long I need to take in and decompress over just the last 3 weeks of football. This bloodline thing, 4 years, ain't shit. The Shield, 10 years, ain't shit. compared to the last 3 weeks of Chicago Bears football. He just leaves. He just fucks off. He's just like, fuck this.
I mean, the good news is the Bears are playing the Thursday afternoon game going into Survivor Series. So he will effectively have.
Are they in the Thanksgiving game?
Yeah, Thursday 12:30. They're in Detroit playing.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, man.
So Seth Rollins will have about 36 hours to get over it. Because he will have looking at it, by far, by the way, the highest tickets. If you look at ESPN, the tickets as low as they have the highest one. Like they're in Minnesota on Sunday, $140. They're in 2 weeks. They're in San Francisco, $134. The Detroit game, $350. The cheapest ass ticket you get in that show. Amazing.
Oh, Seth is gonna be just miserable. He shouldn't watch that game.
No,
he just shouldn't. Because that game goes one of two ways. The Lions beat them by about 70 points. That's the first way. The second way is like the Bears hang and are competitive and like it's kind of close, but they're not good enough to beat the Lions. And they lose once again in heartbreaking fashion because the Lions are just, look, the Lions got their own history of misery, but they've turned it around the past couple of years. Especially this year, they're rolling through people. The Lions stomped out Tony Khan's team by about 50 yesterday. The Lions are just straight up rolling teams. They had a game 2 weeks ago. Jared Goff threw like 4 interceptions and they still won that game. Lions have really turned around. Yeah, they're stomping teams. They're going to destroy the Bears.
They play the Colts on the 24th. The Lions play the Colts on the Sunday, and then they turn around 4 days later and they play the Bears on the Thursday.
That's not going to end well for the Bears. Yeah, Seth is going to be so depressed, man. He shouldn't bother with this wrestling stuff. I'd forgive him. I would forgive him if he was just like, you know what? I just ain't gonna do it. I'm way too depressed over football. I'm way too depressed over the Chicago Bears. I'd be like, you know what? I understand, Seth.
Just call up Paul Heyman, find him in whatever cave he's in the middle of the forest, turn off your phone, and just don't look. Don't look until Sunday. And you'll be okay after that.
Seth should not care one bit about this. He should be taking mental health days. He should be allowed mental health days after Bears games. I feel that's very fair because the Bears are putting you through these past couple of weeks. A Hail Mary. They scored with like 3 seconds left. Should have been game over. They lost on a Hail Mary. That's not a thumbs up. That's a thumbs down.
Thumbs up for the Hail Mary.
They lost on a Hail Mary. And then yesterday, you have not beaten this team since 2018. You play them twice a year, and you've lost every single year, 2 times a year since 2018. All you had to do is kick a field goal. That's it. Kick a field goal. And it got blocked. I feel for Seth. I really do. Look, Panthers fans got it pretty bad. We've at least won 2 straight. Had a bye week. I feel bad for the Bears fans, man. I kind of do. It's rough out there. It's very rough out there.
Yeah, I don't watch football. Hey, Chelsea Green was in BC for the Grey Cup game. She brought the Grey Cup into the stadium at BC Place, and then the Toronto Argonauts won. I did not think the Argos were going to win. I don't know. I don't watch. I went to. I've said this before on the air. I've gone to 1 CFL game in my life, and it was an Argos game. The game started so stupidly late because of whatever extra curricular activities they were doing before the game started, and then I left by the 3rd quarter. I was like, "This sucks." I didn't know I don't care who's winning or playing. This sucks, and I left, and it sucked. Shout out to my buddy Greg. Hope you had fun with the Grey Cup. Never ask me to come to a CFL game again. See you at Elimination Chamber. Oh, anything else from SmackDown? I mean, they did the tag title match. Kind of. They wonked the finish. The Street Profits started to turn to the bad side. Ciampa has already joined the bad guy party. That's great. Like that. But yeah, they kind of I don't hate that they wonked it. It was just kind of like it was expected. But the Street Profits are moving on in their storyline. They're not breaking up. It looks like they're going to be a united front and get a little bit of edge and hopefully turn heel. I think PW Insider was saying that their report is that the Profits are signed. We'll see where that falls and we'll see where that looks. But yeah, this was a good introduction to the Street Profits as heels and moving along the DIY story as well. And Motor City Machine Guns are there too. Did you know that they have the tag titles?
They do.
Good for them. I'm very glad that they do. And then also the women's tag, well, the women's US title. We'll talk about that as well before we get on out of here. Do you have anything to add?
We're doing live reaction to the QT diss track. We are.
Oh, are we? Oh, okay. Yeah. Did it just drop?
Yeah. We'll let it play because, you know, a premiere and everything, countdown. The women's title brackets. Yeah, Bayley moved on. Seems like Bayley might be in the finals are at Saturday night's main event, so that's pretty cool. That show's gonna have a big title match, big historic thing, and it seems like we might get Cody and Kevin at that show as well, so that'd be good. As far as like the brackets, I would say I have no idea.
Very funny that it's all SmackDown women on the brackets. And they were
Is it?
Yeah, it's a floating title.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's on SmackDown.
Yeah, it is. That is, yeah.
I mean, they could have it float for a month. Not even, no, because the finals are at Saturday night's main event. Yeah. So maybe they would have it float for a couple of weeks and then be like, no, bunk this Intercontinental Champion Women's Championship announced at Netflix.
They might.
Then just have it move like that.
Triple H is that's going to be the big Netflix announcement. It's going to be the Netflix title, the Women's Netflix Championship.
But it's going to be Stephanie who makes the announcement, not Triple H.
Oh, and maybe.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Steph. So Bayley moved on. B-Fab looked good. Everyone's praising her, which is nice. And then I feel like Chelsea Green is moving on, but I don't know, man. Bianca, Chelsea, Blair. Feels like Blair's in there to take a pin, unless she's going to be the Shock. They might do a Shock finish and move her forward to have Bayley beat Blair Davenport.
I don't feel like that's the thing.
No, me neither. And then Jade, Michin, and Piper Niven, they're going to have a thing. But what if they do Jade versus Bianca for the United States Championship? What if that's the one?
Yeah. They could. Yeah.
And that's the beginning of the breakup. Bianca would win, I assume, or would they have Jade win because she cheated somehow?
I'd put this title on Naomi. They almost should have called an audible and just put the title on Naomi on Friday because she was getting strong reactions. But I'd go Naomi and put this title on her. Naomi and we'll call Chelsea in the finals because this is how you can beat Jade and Bianca without beating them. Chelsea can pin Blair. Michin could pin Piper potentially, or Piper can
Piper eats pins all the time.
Yeah, or Piper can pin Michin, whichever way. Or you can have, we talk about Jade and getting that first loss. Right now, she's only lost by like DQ. I don't feel like she's ever been pinned or anything. You can have Jade win and Naomi win, and why can't Naomi just pin Jade? Get it out of the way. That looks strong for Naomi too. I'd put Naomi strong over in this tournament and put the title on her.
I'm fine with that. I think Naomi is deserving of that. She had a really good showing in the main event in that.
She always gets great reactions. She always does well. And
I will say this: I'm over the triple threat that leads to a singles match that leads to the final. Like we got to stop with the triple threats to move on stuff. It feels like you're trying to protect one person when really you could either expand the bracket or just do more with it. They've been relying on the triple threat leading to the next step for way too long. it's lazy to me. I'm just ready for them to stop using that as the tournament crutch.
Okay.
All
right.
Anything else from SmackDown we got to touch on?
No, let's listen. People are already disappointed by this QT diss track. Oh no.
Oh, well, it's QT, of course, is going to be disappointing.
Wow. All right. All right, we're going to play it. I'm starting it at like 2, so I'm not doing this full on countdown. The countdown starts at 2.
I've got to queue it up, but then I got to open it in a new browser.
Oh, we're going to listen to it the same way? You're going to listen to it as well? Same time?
No, maybe I'll listen to it afterwards. I feel like if I try to listen to it, it's going to turn into a problem for me.
All right, fine.
A monetization problem. Oh no, he brings the doom.
Oh, he brings the doom.
He brings me turning off my computer.
Doom's all over the place.
He's a doom-filled man. Doom, here comes the doom, ready or not. Here come the boys from the South. Yeah, Cena was at the Nightmare Factory. He should help QT with this. I hope he gets lyrics out of this, or like something from this.
QT's got an amazing smile.
Yeah, he's a good-looking dude. He looks completely different now than he did last time he was in AEW.
He's reading off his phone though. He loses points for that.
Can't do that shit. Don't like that. He makes Max Caster look like Tupac.
Oh man, he's losing the beat all over the place.
Oh no,
his beat's kicking his ass.
Thought the point was to make your talent look good.
I mean, he's more on beat than Max Caster is. I'll give him that.
Oh, okay, then fuck Max Caster then.
I don't believe him with this.
You think he meant to look bad?
What I mean is like, I'm not buying that he's like into it. You know, when AJ does these videos, you can tell he's committed. QT just feels like, all right, shit, I got to do this track because we're doing this. I'm not buying. He didn't feel fully committed to it.
It's like they stuck him in a booth and said, "Do it." He's not even in a booth. He's in a booth in the photo, but he's not in a. He's using my microphone too. This seems very photoshopped. Looking at the promotional video photo.
I think AJ's gonna kick his ass, man.
Fine by me. I assumed it would be that way.
I think AJ's gonna destroy him.
Good.
QT didn't bring the bars. I was hoping he's gonna bring the bars, but he didn't.
He brought the doom.
What's the frame rate?
Actually, if I watched it,
they shot it in like TikTok frame. They shot it.
Yeah, so it's probably 60. They probably shot it 60 and said that would look good.
Okay.
Higher is better. No, it's not. Don't say that. Don't think that. All right. Did you get through it?
Yeah. It was.
It sucked. You can say it sucked.
It existed. I don't think it sucked. I said what I gave my critique of it.
All right. Monday Night Raw tonight. LWO. It's going to be Rey Mysterio and Zelina Vega taking on American-made Chad Gable and Ivy Nile. You got the Intercontinental Championship. Braun Breaker defends against Sheamus. We mentioned Rollins and Reed. And then Carlito and Dominic Mysterio take on the War Raiders. That's what's going on Raw, plus all the other stuff that I'm sure is going to be shown. You can take a look at that and so much more. Anything to plug, Jeremy Lambert?
No. Send me nerd gummies, everybody.
Yes. Check out our Amazon wish lists. It's full of
garbage. I don't think I've actually promoted mine, so don't do that just yet.
All right. Well, then, garbage for all. We'll be back on Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern, as we always are. For Jeremy Lambert, I am at Joel Pearl, JOELPEARL. Ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, enjoy your Monday and your Tuesday, and maybe even your Wednesday when you come back to see us. We'll see you then. Cheers. What is this outro garbage? Come on.